Guzman, who is a Wells Fargo Bank Development Officer, and Pam is going to also help in the presentation. Guz?
Advocates, good evening. Thank you all for gathering here tonight. Very, very wonderful to see so many people united to celebrate this wonderful award and this wonderful community champion. Before we do that, just something to think about. To one extent or another, we are all educators. So what I would challenge you all is to, in one way or another, encourage each other and empower yourselves to teach those lessons that are not taught often enough. So having said that, we are honored to present the very first Community Champion Award to Exeter Junior High School.
Listen, I know a lot of you, if you're like me, you want to need a stretch, right? So I'm going to ask you to do this for myself and Mr. Flam. If everyone would just stand up for 5-10 seconds, right where you're at. Right now, just stand up, okay? Indulge me, please. This will be over in 30 seconds. And on the count of 3, I want everybody here to clap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Great, have a seat. The reason I did that is because one of my best friends and working partner for the last 14 years and I had a bet on the way here tonight, and I told him over the phone, I'll bet you $50 that you and I are going to get a standing ovation tonight. So I'm $50 richer right now.
He's taking a lot of my money.
Now, this is a very humbling night for myself and Mr. Flam. First and foremost, I want to thank Pam Gockley and the Camel Project. This is a beautiful venue, and the setups here tonight, the way we were treated, is top-notch, first class. And Pam, to you and your committee, thank you. I go back 13, 14 years ago. Mr. Flam, Eric Flam, the building principal, and I, we were in the same class for earning our principal certification. And I remember me telling him, hey, if I ever get a job as a principal, you're the first person I'm going to contact. He said, well, if I get a principal's job first, you're going to be the one I contact. And so it happened, and for 14 years, I've worked with this man, and he's really the reason this whole thing got started. He took a flyer out of the mail one day, and it was for an anti-bullying program at Hershey. And he said, here, you might want to attend this, take a look at it, and let me know. And I took a look at it and went and came back, and I grabbed a hold of about 10 or 12 teachers, faculty, and staff at the junior high, and with Eric's blessing. And you know, in this day and age, there's a number of principals out there in various schools, not only in Berks County, but throughout the state, where the numbers are so driven, and I'm talking about the PSSA numbers, 3rd grade through high school, and they kind of forget the holistic approach. So getting back to Pam's vision of the holistic student and child was huge to me. And when you talk about working with people that share your philosophy, Eric and I have shared that philosophy from day one. So it was from his leadership role, his initiative to pass this torch on to me. And we selected a number of teachers that we felt that were honest, trustworthy, and would work hard at this new initiative. And it wasn't easy to start. Also want to acknowledge Dr. Phillips and Dr. Winters, our superintendent, assistant superintendent here tonight. You need the backing of your central administration, and certainly your presence here tonight speaks volumes. say, okay, how did you come upon this documentary? I never even knew how to do a documentary. So I get this phone call last December or November, and a guy named Chip Lee gives me a call, and he starts asking about this program that we're running. And after about 14 questions, I said, Chip, instead of this phone conversation going on for about an hour, because I actually, and Mr. Flam and I actually have a building tour, why don't you come on in and see the program for yourself? And he said, can I bring along a colleague? And I said, sure. So he brings Pam Gockley along to the junior high. And we took him on a tour of the program on that day. We meet twice a month in the fall, once a month in the spring. And it's for about a half hour. And all of our teachers, our counselors who are here tonight, our school counselors, they all have a stake in this. And they put in so much time. They're the ones that have made this thing go. The teachers, the faculty, and staff at the junior high are all superstars. And we have a lot of them here tonight. And certainly wanted to acknowledge them because you saw some of the lessons that are here. That's not Eric Flam, it's not John Arty, it's the teachers in our building who came up with those lessons because they realized the importance of it and they put their heart and soul into it, and we're the ones that come out smelling like a rose. You look at and hear a number of people using the term Ulvaeus. Ulvaeus is named after a guy named Dan Ulvaeus in Norway. And 40, 50 years ago, we had 3 teenagers that committed suicide as a result of being bullied. And so Dan decided, you know what, we have to do something. So he came up with this research-based program called the Ulvaeus model. And so that's where we started. And now you say, well, wait a minute, it was Ulvaeus, it's now ABEX. That's because initially there's about 24 lessons in 7th and 8th grade, 11 or 12 in each grade level. And initially it was all Ulvaeus, and over the last 12 years or so, our faculty and staff have taken it upon themselves to almost completely eliminate all those initial lessons, and it's become their own. They own it. The faculty and staff at Exeter Junior High own this program, and they came up with it, so they termed themselves ABEX, Anti-Bullying at Exeter Junior High. As you saw the documentary, this didn't happen overnight. I've never been a part of it, so Pam and Chick come and meet me in my office a couple of weeks later and said, hey, we'd like to do a documentary to junior high. And I kind of looked at him and said, geez, I'm not so sure I want to do this. I'm in my last year in education and said, I'm not sure if I want to get into this venture or not. And I'm so glad I did. I learned so much from it. And the 3 people that I worked with in this, Pam, Chick Lee, Brad Hartline, owner of Napa Auto Parts, we were meeting Saturday mornings for 3 or 4 hours on the phone, texting each other, emailing each other over a period of about 5 or 6 months. And so it's those 3 people that kind of gave me the nudge. And this is just a tremendous honor, a great night. I'd like to make a couple of quick comments about the documentary, and I'm going to let Mr. Flam speak. If you saw the students in the one lesson in the cafeteria, they all had the white socks on their forearms. The reason that part of the lesson came into play is we had a boy in our building who had cerebral palsy and he had no function to his left hand. So our special ed teacher and other teachers came up with the idea, hey, why don't we put our students in a position where they have some empathy and appreciation for what he has to go through every day. So with one hand, you were trying to, or 2 hands with socks on, you were trying to open up Starburst candy. And if you were able to do that effectively, you could eat the candy. It was just one example of many that our teachers have done over the years that have really made it impactful, and meaningful, and relevant in today's society. You saw the picture of the sled. Okay, Mr. Flam and I have done some crazy things in the last 14 years. And one of the things that you don't see from that picture is as we went down, first of all, I had to get 2 football players to push us down the sled. You don't see them because they're on their knees trying to torque us down the hill in the snow. This is done right out in front of the building. And these two kids got sent down to the office about 15 minutes beforehand. Great kids, super kids. They weren't in trouble a day in their life. And they came down, and I heard with them. I said, listen, go get your coats. Go to your locker, go get your coats. Meet me in the front office. They looked at me. They thought they were being suspended. And far from it. They came down. I said, let's go. You guys are going to go to work. So they're the ones that were pushing us down the hill and then hauling the mattress up to the top of the hill. So the very next day, Mr. Flam and I used to stand out in the main lobby in the morning and greet the teachers and the kids and whatnot. And one of the special needs kids, Mikey, with Down syndrome, came up. And the one big boy who was pushing us down on the mattress eventually went to play fullback on a full scholarship at the University of Delaware. Big, strong son of a gun. And Mikey came up and put his arms around this young man and gave him a kiss on the cheek in front of 100 other kids. Does that speak volume about how you turn the culture around in a building? And a lot of that is due to the guy behind me. It's all about forming relationships, establishing trust, and over a period of time, you get people to do what you want them to do, and you can do some amazing things. So at the end, you saw that all the students on the stage, we will, instead of rock you, it was miss you. That was Mrs. Kelly's homeroom. Mrs. Kelly's with us tonight back in the back of the room. And her whole homeroom came up with this idea to dedicate that song to two of our MDS girls. The two MDS girls turned 21 last year, so it was their last year in public school. And once again, and I'm sure Heather won't mind me telling you this, it wasn't her idea, it was the students in her homeroom. She proved to be an excellent role model. She's a former special education teacher, now turned reading extraordinaire in our building, reading teacher. But it's because of those types of people in our building that this program went as far as it did. So just a little side tidbits. And last but not least, I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight, because just by your presence, you're showing that your heart and soul is in with this program as much as it is to Pam. And by the way, I don't get any kickbacks on Pam's book, but if you haven't read it, you need to read it. It was an inspiration to me as well. And it was done, this is how thoughtful Pam was. It was done in the font size so that anybody can read it. And it's pretty well documented that she's dyslexic, and that caused a lot of issues and problems growing up. And so most books take me about 4 years to read. I was able to read Pam's book in 4 months. Please welcome Mr. Flam, our principal, who established the culture